one of the major topics at this Christmas time for America is terrorism.
Right.
What is your assessment of the Obama administration's approach towards dealing with terrorism, and what should we be doing?
Well, in several really important ways, the president's approach is inadequate, in my view. I think we have to understand who ISIS is and the unique nature of the threat that they pose. This is the first time a terrorist organization has been able to create essentially a nation state, this caliphate, as they call it. They control a lot of land, several million people who live there. That is an ongoing permanent stream of revenue that's massive. And it's a built-in training ground, recruiting center. And because they claim to be the realization of the prophesized caliphate of end times, they can make this audacious claim to the loyalty of Muslims all around the world. Now, obviously, most Muslims have no interest in this, but there's obviously a subset that do, and so it's uniquely dangerous. They've demonstrated their ability to export their murderous ways directly and to inspire others, as in the case of San Bernardino. So I think we need a much more aggressive approach to destroying ISIS so that this risk would be greatly diminished. By the way, there's also big risks in associated with the people we're letting into this country. I think the visa waiver program, if you're familiar with that program,
I am.
That absolutely needs to be dramatically changed, and we should suspend it until we've got that fixed. This process by which the Department of Homeland Security refuses to even look at people's social media postings, because they're afraid of offending these foreigners' sense of privacy? How ridiculous. We need to know whether these people can come to this country safely or not. It's so there's a long list, Bill, of things we ought to be doing to make Americans safer.
Now, a few people have touched on this. Most have shied away from it. Do you believe that at some point the United States, in concert with our quote-unquote allies, is going to have to commit some, not a huge number, but some boots on the ground for a ground force to eliminate ISIS?
Well, we have boots on the ground now. We do not have enough to provide the leadership that is needed. Now, I think the force should be primarily a Sunni Arab force and include the nations that have an enormous and immediate stake in wiping out ISIS. So it's Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt. Turkey's not an Arab state, but the Turks should be providing help as well. In order for that to be effective, that requires some American participation. It just does. Some special ops forces, some Americans in position to call in airstrikes and identify precisely where those airstrikes should take place. So there is an American leadership role that has to be played. But I don't think it's the case that we have to provide the bulk of the troops on the ground. We've got to give it structure and leadership and sophistication. And if we had strong enough leadership from a president who actually wanted to win as quickly as possible, that's what we would be doing.
Do you feel that the president is listening to his military advisors? It sounds like there's doublespeak coming out of the Pentagon. You have some generals and some leaders in the Pentagon who are saying we have to be tougher, and then you get the official doublespeak. What's your assessment of that?
I haven't been following extremely closely the different comments of the different senior Pentagon officials. I can tell you sometimes what happens is some of those guys feel like they're really obligated to tell us what the boss wants them to say, right? They know what the policy is. They know they report to the commander-in-chief. And so it's sometimes hard to get a completely unvarnished and objective opinion about what the best way forward is. No doubt in the Pentagon there's a range of opinions about this. But if the president said, look, the goal is to wipe these guys out quickly before they further metastasize, before they further inflict carnage on Americans and others, our military leadership would figure out the best way to do that very quickly. And that's the way this ought to work. The president should make the judgment call about the need to wipe them out. Our military leadership will then very quickly figure out the best way to do it.